So Prime Minister Modi was welcomed with a hug by French President Emmanuel Macron at a welcome dinner ahead of co-chairing the AI summit in Paris. At the dinner, Prime Minister also met US Vice President J.D. Vance, who is in France to attend the AI summit. Prime Minister Modi will co-chair the AI Action Summit with Macron in Paris, hold bilateral talks with him and address business leaders.
Well, this is an important summit, and for India, the AI summit presents an opportunity to influence global AI policies and collaborate on international standards. Prime Minister Modi's participation signifies India's commitment to ethical AI development and position the country as key player in shaping the future of artificial intelligence. Additionally, the visit includes discussion on defense and technology sectors, further strengthening bilateral ties between India and France.
And AI safety remains a key theme as far as the summit is concerned, but this edition will also focus on AI-driven economic opportunities, ethical challenges, and create some sort of a global framework for AI. A key focus will, of course, be DeepSeek, the Chinese startup that has really disrupted the entire AI landscape with its low-cost, high-performance models.
All right, so what we'll do, we'll get you the latest of what's happening, because what we know at this moment, that as per the local Indian time, the Indian Standard Time, the summit is going to begin in about 25 minutes from now. So we'll keep getting you the latest, but let's get you a sense of the anticipation in Paris, because Gauri, you know, it also is a time when we are seeing AI models being developed by United States, in China. Can the rest of the world, what way do they want to compete as far as this, so at least at this moment, the monopoly of both these giants are concerned? Do you want to develop your own models, use and make the current models better? All that would possibly be discussed in this very important summit, isn't it?
Indeed, Ankit, and that's exactly what the central theme is all about, which is inclusive and sustainable AI. No single country should have a march and should take a march over others when it comes to a technology like AI. Also ensure that where do you put those guardrails? You don't want AI in defense, do you? You don't want such areas to be included when it comes to a technology that could actually be better than human intelligence. So
right.
How do you get those guardrails in place, ensure, and there is global consensus on that. That's really what this summit is all about.
Absolutely.
And we'll be looking out for the declaration that may come out after that key themes are discussed at that summit.
All right, Paridhi Bhanot, our colleague, has been giving us all the latest developments since yesterday from France about this big summit and the Prime Minister's visit. Paridhi, thank you for joining us at this moment. Let me start by asking you, it's about 20-25 minutes when this summit starts. What is the, the buzz as far as this summit is concerned in France? A lot of world leaders also arriving for this.
A very good morning, Ankit and Gauri. Of course, it's an exciting day for Paris, the second of the two really exciting days that I think people from across the world have been waiting for. The anticipation runs high. Right behind me is the Grand Palais. That is exactly where the summit is going to be unfolding. So we're expecting President Macron as well as the Prime Minister of India, Prime Minister Modi, to reach here really soon. In the meantime, of course, there's been a lot of high-level activity around this place. There's a lot of VVIP activity. There are leaders, world leaders, as well as global CEOs that are slowly trickling in. They're arriving at the Grand Palais. From what we know, the Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is already here. The European Commission President is also inside. We're also being told that Sundar Pichai, who's the CEO of Google, he's also reached. So, all of these big names, the stakeholders when it comes to artificial intelligence, when it comes to AI tech, they're all slowly trickling in. And we're expecting the summit, like you said, to start just any moment now. It was supposed to start about 15 to 20 minutes ago, but I believe these things, they can take time, and they take their own time to begin. So that is what is happening inside. That is, I've also given you a brief outlook of what it's like outside. As far as the excitement in Paris is concerned, well, you can say that there's excitement, but there's also wariness. We saw yesterday that there were some civil society groups in France that came out in the street. They were protesting against artificial intelligence and what it could do, its potential harmful effects on mankind. So, on humankind, rather, I should say. So, these, of course, are mixed feelings. I think the world shares these mixed feelings when it comes to artificial intelligence. We can't really be sure about how it's going to be used for public good, if it's going to be used for public good, or there's something larger, something that could go wrong that we need to be wary of. So I think when it comes to these mixed feelings, France is not alone. I think we all share the same apprehension, so to speak. And that's exactly where the summit comes into the picture, because when it comes to a global cooperation on artificial intelligence, I believe that's the only way forward to be able to get rid of these, you say in Hindi, hichkichahat, that's the only way to get rid of that. And I believe that is exactly why the summit is important and why we're in fact here talking about it.
Indeed, Pardi, thanks much for giving us that update ahead of the summit that is really set to decide which way the future of AI will be in the world. And it's very important to talk about the other two summits to understand how Paris could be the differentiator and why we are talking about the future of AI being what it is. Ankit, interestingly, the first two summits that happened, first in the UK, then at South Korea, there was a lot of focus on security. That was the primary focus. But this time around, with Donald Trump being in office, focus is not on security. Focus is on sovereignty. And guess what? Trump is not in favor of the fact that AI should be available to all. He wants that there are countries that have taken a march should be allowed to use that. And that is the premise, as to which way the AI summit will go, will determine what will be the future of AI.
I think what you are saying also is summed up by Elon Musk, the trusted aide of Donald Trump, in fact, asking Sam Altman that he's ready to buy OpenAI for $97 billion. That's a war of words between both these, businessmen that is taking place. But, it will be interesting to see. Like I've been saying with China, with DeepSeek throwing out this competition and the way they have disrupted the AI sector, it will be interesting to see what are, like you said, the outcome as far as this summit is concerned. And let's discuss that further and the role that India can play and the impact it can have on India. Kazim Rizvi, founding director, the Dialogue is joining us at this moment. Rajat Garg, founder. My Upchar is also with us at this moment. Mr. Rizvi, like we've been discussing, Gauri and I, what do you think are likely to be the big outcomes as far as this summit is concerned? What would be the top three things that you would be looking at as far as this summit goes?
Thank you. So I think if you look at the AI Safety Summit, this follows from the meeting which happened in November 2024, where a few countries came together, such as France, Japan, EU, Canada, US, etc., and they formed the International Network of AI Safety Institutes. Now, the meeting is, of course, going to focus on safety issues, on ethical use of AI, responsible AI. But I think that there's a bigger issue over here, and which is that it is imperative that the network of safety institutes which has been developed takes onus and starts working on real work with respect to setting the standards. I think over here, it's great to see that India is co-chairing the Safety Summit in Paris. But at the same time, the Indian AI Safety Institutes is a work in progress. While it's been announced that there is something which is taking place, we don't yet have a safety institute. And it's important that India quickly develops its own institute and becomes a member of international network of institutes, because this is the network which will set the tone for global governance of AI, which will set the tone of global standard setting, which will set the tone on technical alignment on research and safety when it comes to the use and deployment of AI. So from a global governance point of view, this multilateral institution will really take ownership in terms of coming up with the right standards. And if a country, let's say, does not have a seat at the table, and a country as big and as influential and as important as India doesn't have a seat on the table, then that will be a big issue and challenge for the global South ecosystem. So we need India on the table, and we need to make sure that Indian position is heard. And of course, the influence which we have in global geopolitics already can be seen with the Prime Minister co-chairing the summit.
India is on the table. India is a co-chair at the summit. And I guess it's important to also then talk about why this matters to India and what has India done when it comes to AI. And in probably in a very quick way, if I could just tell our viewers, and Ankit, the fact is, if you just take the GPU costs, it's about $3 per hour in the West, and India is actually doing at sub $1 per hour. So that is the cost differential that exists when you talk about supercomputing, which is essentially the backbone of AI. And the second part is that we are in the process of making an 18,000 GPU. So to that extent, we are getting into the league when it comes to supercomputing.
Right.
And I guess that is the most important part, that if you are in the league, and the focus is very clear. India wants AI to be for healthcare, for agri, and sustainable living. We've identified our three pillars where we feel the AI can contribute, and which is why that public road framework that this Paris Summit is going to talk about is so important for us.
Right.
Because that framework is going to determine how we're going to push AI in agri, how we're going to push AI in healthcare, and how are we going to make our cities more sustainable.
That's very, very interesting what you're saying. And we also have Rajat Garg, who is the founder of My Upchar. So, of course, somebody who understands the use of AI as far as the healthcare sector is concerned. Mr. Garg, a lot of experts would say that these are the, like Gauri said, the pillars, the low-hanging fruits where at least AI can bring a revolution of sorts. How do you see this summit in that context, and what would you expect the outcomes, particularly on the health sector for a country as large and diverse as India?
So two main points here. One, I was watching rocketry yesterday. It's again a race to build and own the engines, rocket engines. So I think whether we like it or not, India will have to develop their own rocket engines, AI models, because otherwise we'll be too dependent on other countries. Our data will be passing to all these countries. So we'll have to build our own. Number two is on the services side. One of the things that we have done at My Upchar is people call in for consultation requests, and for 30 different medical specialties, medical issues, we are able to take the call via AI bot, ask all the questions, figure out the diagnosis, and submit a summary to our doctor to just say yes or no. And in 90% it says yes, and the prescription automatically gets generated. So a lot of the work is happening in this space. And if you imagine just this simple thing being multiplied across all the government hospitals, all the other hospitals across India, millions and millions of patients can get access to quality healthcare within seconds, within minutes, across the board. So I think the AI applications are going to come in across the board, whether it's, we are already seeing in diagnostic space, major hospitals have started deploying AI models. We are seeing that across triage space. We are seeing across many, many other spaces. And I think, whether we like it or not, in defense and other areas as well, as you were talking about, it is going to come across. So it's a huge, huge change that's happening. And I believe, in next 4 or 5 years, you will see a completely different paradigm, not just in healthcare, agri, but across India, across industries. And we must own the entire stack, build our own entire stack for it.
Indeed. Unless we have that indigenous AI model, we cannot ensure that it's localized for our needs. And Mr. Rizvi, how do you see the India AI mission? We've put in a lot of funding, resources into our AI ambitions, whether it is in terms of the $1.5 billion fund, centers of excellence, also putting in resources in terms of skilled manpower. How do you see our AI mission evolving from here on?
No, I think the India AI mission is a fantastic initiative, and the investment of $1.25 billion is testament to the fact that the government of India is taking AI very seriously. I think there are 3 points over here. One, as Rajat rightly pointed out, we need to focus on developing indigenous models. The good news is that we have already a lot of high-quality Gen AI applications. We have more than 250 Gen AI applications operating on top of the LLM layer. So the talent is absolutely there. But we need more talent. We need 2 million more AI skilled professionals. And that's one of the things which the AI India mission is doing. The second, as we spoke about, is on compute. One of the key areas for me is also on access to data. And I think that's an area where we need to work together, is to bring and sort of, there's a lot of data across different value chains, segregated across different ecosystems. We have to bring it all together. And to be able to develop models from scratch, you need a lot of volume of data. We know that developing an LLM is not that costly as it was perceived to be. But at the same time, we have to bring all the ingredients together. Compute, you need data sets, highly skilled manpower, and we need the top talent of the country from the leading institutions to focus on developing the model. The government of India has already released issue for proposals when it comes to reaching out to technical experts, to engineers and coders to help develop the local LLM model. And I'm pretty sure that we should be able to have something, hopefully by later this year.
I guess it is also the summit's declaration, Ankit, that will be very important to watch out for. You know, we are waiting for the summit to start very soon. We'll have the speakers make opening comments. And I think the declaration and its wording will be extremely important to watch out for.
Absolutely, and I think even in the markets where, like in United States and now in China, where they have their own indigenous AI engines, they would also be very, very closely watching this summit, because a lot of work and a lot of things were spoken about the difference of funding that America is putting in as far as AI is concerned, and how will the world be able to compete with that. I think this grouping would also, in a way, would be able to brainstorm about that gap in the funding where individual countries, rather than putting in small amount and trying to compete with United States, can possibly come together and see what is beneficial, possibly collective for them. These visuals that you are seeing, ladies and gentlemen, let me also very quickly tell you, these are live visuals which are coming in from Paris at this moment, where the French President Emmanuel Macron is in fact welcoming the dignitaries, those who are coming in for this AI summit. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and President Macron are going to co-chair this AI summit in Paris. So very, very important headlining moment also as far as India is concerned, isn't it?
Indeed. And, we are going to get Paridhi in just a bit. But, you mentioned the US and the China models, Ankit. The fact is, AI journey for 99% of the people in the world is between these two extremes.
Absolutely.
One is the profit-led, tech giants-led, the other is the state control-led,
Yeah.
Countries don't want either of the two extremes. And it is summits like these that decide that roadmap, that common framework, which is why this is so important. And India's role is so crucial to determine what would be the future trajectory.
Absolutely. Paridhi is with us at this moment, reporting live from Paris, where this big summit is taking place. Paridhi, as we were speaking earlier, a lot of dignitaries have started arriving at the venue of this summit. All eyes would be on Prime Minister Modi and President of France, Emmanuel Macron, as both of them are co-chairing this big summit.
Absolutely, Ankit. All eyes are indeed on President Emmanuel Macron, who's of course the host. He's managed to be able to, get the world together on this. Now, of course, there have been two summits before this. The first one in 2023 was held in the United Kingdom. The second one in 2024 was held in Seoul. It was held in the Republic of Korea. And of course, now the third one, which is being held here in France. Now, it's really also symbolic of where France sees itself in the AI race, but also how Emmanuel Macron, how President Macron envisions the European Union in this race for artificial intelligence. And then, of course, there's the Indian perspective, wherein, we're focused on India. We, of course, want India to have a piece of that pie, but at the same time, we also want to ensure that, the global south is represented, and that's where India comes in. So when it comes to truly democratizing, so to speak, artificial intelligence technologies, their development, their use, their implementation, France as well as India have a unique advantage here, because on the one hand, France has the ability to bring together the European Union and sort of, push for regulation, push for a common regulation when it comes to the EU. And on the other hand, you have India, which has which has the unique advantage of having one of the world's largest market, but also at the same time being able to represent the global south and the voices from the global south. So, both India as well as France, they are posed at a very unique strategic advantage here when it comes to artificial intelligence technologies. And the hope, of course, is that the two leaders are going to be able to bring the world onto the same page when it comes to this new tech.
Right. So, as you were discussing, it's just a few minutes away from when we'll possibly start hearing the opening remarks as far as this summit is concerned. Live visuals are coming in at this moment. This is going to be our focus. Paridhi, I request you to stay on with us. Also request our guests, Mr. Garg and Mr. Kazmi, to be with us to help us navigate this important, in fact, chapter which is being written as far as artificial intelligence is concerned. A short break. We are coming back. Stay tuned.